as they think about it in a logical, progressive way, that becomes their enemy.
So you kind of like gear them to think in a more liberal way.
The whole point of the more progressive teachers are actually more savvy about delivering like a democratic message without really ever mentioning politics. It's subtle, and they'll never say, oh, this is a liberal or democratic way of doing this. They'll just make that the norm. This is how we handle things. It's subtle.
And that's how you get away with it?
That's how you get away with it.
So it's like you present everything in a way that's like subconsciously influencing the kids to vote liberal in a way, but it's not doing it in such an explicit way to where the parents can actually get mad at you for it.
This motherfucker.
Doesn't anyone notice this? I feel like I'm taking crazy pills!
I don't want you to ride. I don't want you to write to your congressman because I wouldn't know what to tell you to write. I don't know what to do about the depression and the inflation and the Russians and the crime in the street. All I know is that first, you've got to get mad.
If the whole world gone crazy! Am I the only one around here who gives a shit about the rules?
You have the luxury of not knowing what I know.
I want you to get up now. I want all of you to get up out of your chairs. I want you to get up right now and go to the window, open it, and stick your head out and yell, I'm as mad as hell, and I'm not going to take this anymore!
All right, everyone, welcome. I know I kind of snuck up on everybody with this one. It's not like a normal Wednesday live, and it is just me. But this story just absolutely blows my mind, as Project Veritas often does. And you know, Project Veritas has kind of slid slyly away from their YouTube channel and have moved on to their own website. So sometimes it's a little bit harder to pick up on this stuff, but fortunately, you know, I do get alerts and I do get certain notifications, and this one really shocked me. So you know, the folks at Project Veritas, and I'll leave you a link in the comments to their website for the full video. I'll show you clips here. You saw one in the intro where they had one of their investigators, and normally how they do this is you never see who the woman is who does it, but it seems to be like they have found some good looking woman who's, you know, these guys think they're out on a date, and they think they're like, you know, living it up, and they think she's, you know, a Marxist and a lefty, and so they open up, and then, you know, as soon as they start opening up, you know, here we go. Here comes the fun. And then you get to see what's really going on. And what makes them so great is that the way that they do it is it gives you the information. There's no denying that this guy is what he is. And frankly, when you hear what the response from the actual from leadership was, it just doubles down on the whole thing. And you know, we've all kind of known that there's been indoctrination going on in these schools for years, for decades, and there's no doubt about that. Okay, but to hear it come from them, all right, because there are still people out there who swear that there's not, right? That's where this comes from, right? Once you see, you can't unsee. Like, to those of us who see, we know damn well what this long game that's been played by Marxists, communists, Marxists, socialists, whatever coin you want to put on that, all right? Whether you want to call it mass formation psychosis, ideological subversion, active measures, the names go on, all right? But the fact of the matter is, when it absolutely is real, it absolutely is happening, and the fact of the matter is, we need to be aware of it. Like, these are video clips that should be shown to children. Okay, like literally, I don't care how old. Like, these types of things should be part of the getting ready to go to school lesson. All right, because people need to know, their children need to be armed with this knowledge. Yeah, it's awesome that parents are taking over school boards and doing things like that, but in the end, it's at the kitchen table that the job gets done. because I can tell you right now that there are more than just a few. It's not just some one-off. There are more than just a few teachers out there who absolutely believe the Marxist doctrine, whether they associate it with Marxism or not, that they own your kids once they come to school. That the children, which is a Marxist philosophy, okay, that, and you'll hear it when you watch the full clip of the full video of this, you'll hear this guy say it. Like, I don't work for the parents, I work for the kids. That's not how it works. The parents handle the kids. You worry about the parents. All right. But the fact that they keep this from parents, and this guy openly admits it, all right, is what makes everything so creepy. And Gary Volokh says, you can do whatever you want with the liberals are done, but the liberals are done in this country as we educate our children on the truth, not insanity. Yeah, Gary. And, the reality is, and that's Yuri Bezmenov talks about this when he was explaining, he's the KGB propaganda expert from the 70s and 80s who defected to the United States, did many interviews. Some are actually on YouTube. We use them all the time. And he says as much. He says the only way, like, once these people, once they are demoralized, as they called it in the Soviet Union, once they're demoralized, they're gone. Like, according to Yuri, they're unsavable. That there's nothing you can do to bring these people back and back to sanity. Like, they're programmed to, as he says, literally programmed to react to certain stimuli, and there's nothing you can do to undo that programming. Now, there are some people who snap out of it on their own, but the people that have dug in their heels, they're gone. And the only way to cure it, and it is a disease, okay? It is a disease. And the only way to cure it is by raising more generations who are not as insane as the generations that they have perverted intellectually. And that is what we must do. So when you see guys like this out there, it's creepy, and you need to prepare your children for it. We've talked to you, we've shown you clips in the past of teachers saying you're smarter than your parents, telling children that. I was training my daughter on this to be ready for it, and she had told me when I said that to her, they've already been saying that. All right, they're not. Look, there's a conscious effort to keep this away from parents. Okay, conscious effort. So I'm curious, to the folks out there who have kids who might be watching this, I'm curious to know if your parent-teacher nights are still being held in classrooms where you go from class to class and you get to walk around the classrooms. By me, they still do it in grammar school, but in middle school and high school, that stopped. You don't walk in the classrooms anymore. And it's funny because my daughter sends me pictures of communist and crazy crap that's hanging on the walls of the classrooms. And I'm just curious to know how widespread that is, because they don't allow it. They don't allow it here. And they've got reasons for it that aren't, we're trying to keep you out of the classroom. But it just seems convenient to me that when I was in high school, parent-teacher night, all through high school, the teacher would stay in the class that they were on, and they'd stay in one room, and people would rotate around and go to the different classes and talk to parents in the classroom. That doesn't happen in the high school that my kids are in now. Okay, so, and I can't help but think that it's obvious why. So here we got Cody Regal says, check out your libraries. Yep, you won't believe the LBD. Yeah, exactly. The alphabet soup garbage in there. Even promoting pedophilia. Exactly. And those books are not allowed to be taken out of the school. And this falls in line with what this guy in these videos is saying. Okay, this falls right in line with that. And then, so I'm going to play one of the clips how he talks about it, and he talks about it. The audio is kind of messed up because they're in like a crowded party, but you can see the subtitles. So cling to the subtitles. You can hear what he says if you listen close, but it's easier if you just work with the subtitles. But what he says basically is that how they make it just the norm. They just make being a leftist the norm, so that it doesn't, they can't talk politics. Like, they understand the rules. They can't talk politics. They can't say Democrats are better than Republicans, leftists are better than conservatives. They can't say it out loud. But what they can do, and what they do is that they strategize to have the curriculum, have the lesson plans, have the reading comprehension essays, everything painted in a way where making the choice of the Marxist or the leftist is correct, and it's just normal. Like, it's just the way things are. So that when they're confronted with common sense, it makes no sense to them, because that's not the way things are. And this is how they raise them. Okay. They literally now, this used to be decades ago, this was only in universities. Then it creeped into the high schools. Then it creeped into the middle schools. And now we're seeing pornographic stuff at the kindergarten, preschool level. All right. And it's crazy. But here's one clip, just to get us started on this doo-doo, because this guy really fires me up. He really fired. I almost went through with the curse word on that intro. Almost went through with it, but I had to stop myself and I cut it off. But here,
teaching them how to think.
Mhm.
That's it. Doesn't matter what they think about it. If they think about it in a logical, progressive way, that becomes their habit.
Like so you kind of like gear them to think in a more liberal way.
The more progressive teachers are actually more savvy about delivering like a democratic message without really ever mentioning politics. It's subtle. They'll never say, oh, this is a liberal or a democratic way of doing this. They'll just make that the norm. And this is how we handle things. It's subtle.
And that's how you get away with it?
That's how you do it.
So it's like you present everything in a way that's like subconsciously influencing the kids to vote liberal in a way, but it's not doing it in such an explicit way to where the parents can actually get mad at you for it.
and you see, like, and how casual he is about acknowledging that, right? God bless Project Veritas for doing these things. Because if you think that this is a one-off, if you think that this guy is just one bad apple that they happen to find and expose, you're crazy. This is the culture, okay? You don't get to exist the way this guy exists in any sizable organization, doing the things that he does, that he can talk to somebody openly about, anybody openly about, unless it's accepted, okay? Unless it's accepted within their four walls. They think, he believes, okay? So he's one of these programmed people. He believes that he's doing the right thing. All right. And he doesn't stop at just how they indoctrinate children. Okay. He goes into how they hire and what the philosophy is when they hire, how they don't want to hire Catholics because they're too conservative. So if he finds out somehow that someone's a Catholic, there's no way they get the job. He says it outright. Because he thinks he's on a hot date with a leftist chick that is all into it. You hear her like confirming that she agrees with him throughout, just to keep him going. And boy, does he keep going. So, but you hear how he just tells you outright that it's subtle. It's subtle, right? We make everything the norm. We just make being a Marxist the norm, and the children don't know any better. And there's another piece in there where he says, she asks about the parents. So you see how she says, like, so you do it in such a way that the parents won't get mad, right? And he's like, exactly. And he even says, yes, that's how we get away with it. Like, he knows that he's doing something that he's getting away with. Like, he's fully aware that what he's doing is dubious towards the parents. Okay. And it doesn't matter. He's going to continue to hire. He's going to continue to hire these young under 30, and this falls, by the way, right in line. He says verbatim in there that that he had interviews. He doesn't believe he hired one person under the age of 30. Now, in the end, that 30 number is significant. Now, Klaus Schwab has said multiple times on many different platforms, all of which, of course, associated with some sort of WEF event, but he continually references people under 30. All right. This is counterproductive to any strategic plan that ever was successful ever in history. Okay. Yeah, you could get some bright ideas from youth and this and that, but there's zero wisdom in that crowd. Zero. And that's how they like it. Okay. And if you're under 30 and you're watching this and saying, I got wisdom. No, you don't. All right. And I'll tell you right now, think about yourself. If you're 30, think about yourself when you were 25. Did you know as much as you know when you're 30? Think about yourself when you were 20 18. Did you know as much then? Did you not learn a ton in that time? Well, the fact is, yes, you did. And trust me when I tell you, when you hit 40, you'll look back at 25 and 30 and laugh. All right? That's why they want those people. Because when you take people older than that, they've already figured out all this mishmash. All right, and it's like the classic Churchill quote, right? If you're under the age of if you're under the age of 30 and you're not a liberal, you have no heart. And if you're over the age of 30 and you're not a conservative, then you have no brain, right? Because that's when everybody wakes up. That's when everybody figures it out. Because that's when most people go out and really enter the real world and really start, to deal with that struggle of life and figure it out. And the more they learn about how things work, the more conservative they become, the more appreciative of our Constitution they become, and the more fired up to be American they become. And these folks can't have any of that. They can't have any of that. So let me see if I got this clip queued up. Here we go.
So have you found that certain...
So this one is on religion, by the way. I didn't give that the setup. This one is where he's going to tell you he doesn't hire Catholic people. He doesn't like hiring people of religion at all, but he doesn't hire Catholic people in particular because they're just so notoriously liberal, notoriously conservative. And frankly, I think that's hilarious because I find Catholics in the United States to be the most liberal religion on earth. They're tossing out Eucharist to baby killers all the time, but they don't, But somehow this guy thinks that they're uber conservative. That kind of bugs me out. But here.
So have you found that certain religions tend to be more right wing? What do you mean?
One, and I'm not a huge expert on religion, but Protestants in this area probably are this way. If they're Catholic,
oh, so then what do you do with the Catholics if you find out someone is Catholic and not? So would you ever hire a Catholic
then? No, I don't want to, right? And just comes straight out and says, nah, I ain't hiring them. And this is one of those things. Now, this is clearly illegal. Okay. And he does this. He doesn't hire based on age as well. So there's another piece in the video where he talks about not hiring older people for the reason I just explained, that hiring older people, there's no way he's going to change them. He says it outright. There's no way I can change these people. So let me tell you how this works. Okay. I'm going to do my best. I'm going to do my best dad from My Big Fat Greek Wedding and tie this all back. So here you have this man with this thinking, and he thinks this way because of the money that comes from the federal government, which needs to be made smaller, which can be done if it goes to Convention of States. There you go. So there's my tie-in to Convention of States, because it is the answer. And the reality of the matter is, if we didn't have this Department of Education, if we were able to disband this behemoth of a wasteful organization and we just shut it down along with some of these other psychotic regulatory agencies, but the Department of Education alone, shut that down, aside from the billions you'll save annually from all the paper pushing and craziness, all of that money that gets allocated to these states with strings attached, strings to make sure the curriculum like this dude that who's talking about gets pushed in your school, okay? All of those strings get cut, all right? All of them get cut. That and the balanced budget amendment will also cut those strings. Yes, states will have to learn how to be responsible and fiscally responsible, yes, but you will also no longer be enslaved by the federal government and these psychotic agendas that they put forth for our kids. Everyone knows that curriculum that this guy's preaching is not going to be in favor, is not going to be favored by parents. Okay, it's just not. Everybody knows that, including them. And that's why they have to be careful. And he talks about how careful they have to be. It's nuts that these people exist in our society today. I'm like totally ranting on this guy right now because it just drives me insane. Drives me insane. Yes, Kathy, unfortunately, we're seeing this all the time. People are literally refusing to see what is so obvious. There are still people in this world, in this country, who think that our schools have not been totally ransacked and taken over, who think that the political philosophy of a doodadoo that walks out of Harvard is worth more than the paper it's printed on. It's not. Okay, it's not. And the fact of the matter is, people need to start understanding that you can read too. Don't let these people, don't be one of those people that's like, well, what are your credentials? Credentials are nonsense today. Okay. Universities are nonsense today. They create imbeciles. Okay. They create walking zombies who people walking out of these universities walk out believing men can have babies. And they don't just believe it, they believe that it's biology. So if you want to ask me, what degrees do people have? I'm going to laugh at you. I'm going to laugh at you. All right. A better question is, what have you read? That's a better question. This is not 1980 where these degrees are so well respected. Only in their little circles do people respect these doodadoos. Only in their intellectual circles. The second they walk outside their bubble, everyone knows they're full of crap. Everybody. And these kind of people are damaging to your children. And this is what makes it so damn serious. So here's Jim O'Connor. How are you, Jim? So here's a book request. Required reading for everyone, author John Barron. So it reveals the Soviet Union collapse from ineptitude, deceit, corruption. Biography of the exceptional man whose intelligence sought through a lifetime of brainwashing. It illustrates. So yeah, this is kind of this sounds to me along the lines of Alexander Solzhenitsyn, who I'm a big fan of. Interesting read for everyone. For those that aren't big readers, you could check out Warning from the West. I just got another book. That one, he calls out straight out social justice, etc. Calls it straight out by name. As he warns, it was a speech that he gave. It's only like 50 pages long on paperback, but very interesting read. Gulag Archipelago. So he's a Russian defector who's a Nobel Prize winner. The Pulitzer Prize winner, I believe it was, but he might have been the Nobel Peace Prize too. But yeah, so those are all good reads. Definitely good to keep yourself abreast in the reading categories. But I just wanted to make sure that I got out there and kind of showed everybody what's going on with these doodadoos, because this is crazy. What these people are doing in our schools is absolutely nuts. Okay, it's just absolutely nuts, and it's something that we can't just sit back and even taking over the school boards. And there are tons of that. There's tons of that going on where parents are getting back involved and starting to getting engaged in local politics. And that's really, that's really a great thing to see from the standpoint of convention of states, because the more people start realizing that all the power is local and the idea that it's in the federal government is an illusion, the more that people see that, the better off we're going to be. Okay, the better off we're going to be. The more you realize that it's your state local legislature that you should be going to. All right. And when it comes to a movement like Convention of States, now we're talking the collective power of the state legislatures. Now we're talking serious power. Now we're talking power that the federal government can't even play with. So in the end, that does matter. And I want to play. So just in case, the last piece that I wanted to go over with this before I let you all get back to your wonderful Friday night was just James O'Keefe was reading. So this is the best. It was a woman named Kate Diaz. Okay. So she's the president of the Connecticut Education Association. And you would think that after seeing a video like this, that Kate here would be all upset and send a letter out saying, this is not something that we endorse. We are very much against, all of the things that this gentleman was saying. And his name, by the way, just to put him on blast, is Jeremy Boland. Okay. He's assistant principal at Cos Cob Elementary in Connecticut. And the fact of the matter is, you would think that they would be blasting this and sending out a letter to make sure that nobody was engaging in this type of behavior in their schools. And no, that's not what they did. What they did was send out a private memo, which ironically was sent to Project Veritas by one of her inside people. All right. And instead of it saying things like, like I just said, like we demonize this, we're against this, whatever. No, what they said was double down on your secrecy, keep the stuff close to the vest. People like Project Veritas can be anywhere. Don't like, whoa. Right. So here's James O'Keefe, a small snip from this one. You can get the full one on Project Veritas on YouTube.
It's time to double down on caution. You can take the I'm not afraid of anything because I got nothing to hide mindset, or we double down on caution. I would not comment on the Greenwich video at all. We know that Veritas uses this tactic to trap educators and union members into making incriminating statements. I don't trap anybody to do anything. Don't feed the beast.
And if you saw on that letter that he didn't read, it said, make sure you alert your members that Veritas people are lurking around, are in state and lurking around. All right. This is a group of people who know damn well what they're doing is wrong. They know damn well what they're doing. They know that this needs to be kept away from parents. And instead of seeing the Veritas video and saying, oh my God, I can't believe one of our own would do such a thing, it's like, oh my God, Project Veritas is here. Everyone shut up. All right. So it's for the person who wants to say that this was a one-off and this is just some guy, that they happen to catch. Well, no, it's not. She went out and put that letter out. And you don't put out a letter like that, all right, unless you know, right? Unless there was not one piece of her being offended by what that guy was saying in that video. Not one dribble of them being offended by what that guy was saying in that video. What they're offended by is that somebody found it or somebody got it on video and put it on the internet, which is where her letter is now as well. It's just stunning to me that this kind of thing can happen. It's not stunning because I know that it's happening, but it's stunning just to hear it, just to hear them actually talk about it in a way where they are diabolically planning it, like they all are like consciously trying to keep things away from parents. And there are probably teachers in that very school who don't even understand that this kind of stuff is going on. It's not like every single teacher is on board with this garbage, but there are a lot of them. It is not a one-off. There are a lot of them. They have been recruiting and training these teachers, and these teachers, I wasn't recruited. Yes, you were. You just don't know it, because in the end, you went to school, the professors fed you, and you were one of the people who ate it. And that's what I mean when I say recruit you. I don't mean they showed up and said, hey, you want to join our Marxist Nazi club? No. You just sat in their classroom and they taught you Marxism isn't so bad. Here, America is bad. Here's all the historical reasons why America's bad. Yes, it's coming from me, your super educated professor in the university. Yes, you're going to believe me. And all the way through their master's degree, and sometimes as high as the PhDs that some of them have, they've been hearing that same message, and they come out fully all in. Now, to credit, there are some teachers who go through it and see the BS for what it is, regardless that it's coming from a professor, and are able to shut it down mentally. But they still want to be a teacher, so they go through it. But like those teachers, we need you to step up now. Just like we need more FBI agents to step up. Like there are a few that stepped up and whistle blew. The whole damn agency should be doing it. The whole damn agency should be doing it. The whole idea that you're going to keep taking orders, forget the Trump raid. These people, these agents raid the homes of just regular American citizens, like with SWAT teams and flashbangs and all. Like all of this needs to come to a close. All of it. And sooner than later. And this is the whole concept of playing offense. So Cody Ragel says that our reps in Columbus use the excuse not to pass cause because they already passed the balanced budget resolution. Just more excuses. They're reactionary, mostly in legislating, not proactive. Yeah. So the balanced budget resolution doesn't help us, right? And they know that. So the reality is, they're afraid, right? And that's what comes of it for most. Most of these legislators are afraid. And really, I know you're saying Columbus, so I'm guessing that's Ohio. And then so from that standpoint, what these Ohio legislators need to understand is that the balanced budget is just a piece. It's not even the biggest piece of the problem. Okay. I would argue government overreach is by far the biggest piece of the problem. They're all big, though. They're all big, and frankly, they're all issues, as we say all the time. Term limits, fiscal restraints, and government overreach are three categories that every side of the aisle can agree with. Every side. The idea that there are politicians trying to paint Convention of States as if it's some kind of right-wing, psycho move, it's just nuts. It should be an insult to your intelligence that they even would position it that way. I don't care if it's your favorite politician on earth. If that person turns around and tries to politicize cause, that person should be ignored going forward. Because the reality of the matter is the issues are what they are. No one gets to spin them. No one gets to play games with them. They are what they are. You could forget any federal official's opinion on it because you could bet they ain't digging it. That's a good thing. That's a good thing. But in the end, it's a universal group of issues. And it almost feels like it's been so long. It's really generations since there's been some form of unity on a particular cause. Right? Since there's been some form of agreement that Americans can see past the politics and just understand as Americans that we have to act, and that there were issues that we could act on, that there was a path to act on peacefully and legally that was presented to us, and now it's almost like people don't know what to do with that. It's almost like people just can't figure out what to do with that idea that wow, wait a minute, you mean we all agree? Yeah, everyone but the Marxists. Everyone but the Marxists. And I've said this a million times, not every Democrat is a Marxist. Yes, every Marxist is a Democrat. That's for sure. That's the party that they chose to try and hijack. But that doesn't mean that every single voting Democrat is a Marxist. And I would argue it's probably about 60 to 70% of the party that's not Marxist. Right? But they are a little bit just like the right is. We all get brainwashed onto our teams. And it's like, you think if this right-wing guy says it's right, then it must be right. Or if it's coming from the Republicans, then it must be the right thing. Oh, it's coming from the Democrats. It must be the right thing. And everyone's wrong in those scenarios. Everyone is wrong in those scenarios. Everyone. They're two wings on the same bird. None of them give a damn about you. Some of them on their way up the chain actually do care. Once they get there, that's over. That's over. I can tell you that with 100% assurance that once they get in office, it's done. I listened to Mark Meckler tell the story, and he was a co-founder of the Tea Party movement. And I listened to him tell the story about his disappointment when we got all these people elected, like the Tea Party folks were getting elected right and left, replacing people in primaries and getting voted in. And then what happened? They all got in there, and that was it. He's like, it was not even months before they were lost. Not even months. Done. So please tell me how you're going to elect your way out of this. Tell me who your savior is, because there is no Superman. There's one solution, and that's us. That's the American people. You want this doo-doo out of the freaking school system? Then let's get them out. Let's shut down the Board of Education or the Department of Education, get local parents running for the board, and get rid of doo-doos like this. We get rid of curriculums that have dollar tags hung over them from the federal government. We remove all of that. If the parents don't like something, it goes. Period. I don't want to hear the nonsense about banning books and all this crap. It's nonsense. No one's banning any books. We just don't want pornography in the hands of children. Is that too much to ask? It's time we bring sanity back, and we do that by playing offense. And the only way that the American people can play offense, really play offense, is not through elections. it's through convention of states. That's where it is. And it's funny, Jim O'Connor, it's funny you say this because I agree with you. I was thinking that as I was talking about unified moments. You know, the last time the feds used it to enact the Patriot, yeah, absolutely, which was the most unpatriotic piece of legislation ever enacted. Absolutely. And frankly, I'll admit that I was one of the doot-da-doos out there supporting Bush on that because I still believed in the two teams. I still believed in all that garbage. And I'm sitting there arguing with people, probably like Jim O'Connor. I don't know when you came around to how much BS that was. But like, you know, today everybody says they knew as soon as it came out. But there was a ton of support for that Patriot Act when it came out. I'm not pointing at who's who and who knew when, but the fact is there was a ton of support. We were all fired up. Yes, let's do it. Let's get these terrorists, blah, 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 blah. And everybody jumped on board. And then what did they do? What were people warning me about the Patriot Act when it was coming out that I was telling them they're crazy? They were telling me exactly what happened. It's never going to go away. Oh, no, it gets voted on every 2 years. Shows how much you know. You better get your facts straight. It gets revoted every 2 years. So there, and of course, it was revoted every 2 years. And here we are 22 years later, or 21 years later, and it's still here. It's still here. Still here and being used exactly as those people were telling me it was going to be used. And I absolutely am not shocked at this point that, number one, I was so into the mass formation that I believed all that garbage. And then two, that, you know, now it makes a ton of sense. And so those people were everywhere. And, you know, a belated apology for not believing you then. So here, Michael Arnold, how are you, sir? Says all a college diploma is for is to let corporations know you received your indoctrination certificate. You know what? There's probably some truth to that. I mean, I sit down and I wonder why corporations even require, for the most weirdest jobs, they require they cut a good piece of the hiring pool out because they require college degrees. And frankly, the people that they're getting suck. Like they're two totally different. Like if you're I'm in sales, right? I sell technology. If I were someone who, now I have a college education, okay? But I can tell you wholeheartedly, it has absolutely nothing to do with my job now. Nothing. As a matter of fact, the reality is most college, I mean, if you're going into network, like if you're going to go into like network engineering or something along the coding or those types of careers, you're still better off in a trade school than you are in a university. You're still better off there. Heck, you're better off on YouTube than you are in some cases in a university. Don't sleep on YouTube. There's a ton of do-it-yourself stuff on there that's legit. But the fact of the matter is, yeah, people are still wasting. You still have old school people who don't understand the future. Like when I show people Yuval Harari and what he thinks, you know, it sounds creepy. It sounds like something you want to stop, but you can't stop that. That tech is coming, and he ain't kidding. When he said, he's absolutely right in some of the things he says, whether the WEF takes over or not, it's still going to be a situation where people are just going to get displaced. They're just going to get displaced. Everyone keeps using the truck drivers as the example. And the reason they're doing that is because we all love truck drivers. And the fact of the matter is there are already big rigs on the road driving themselves. Not in a work capacity, they're in test mode, but they're driving miles on end, cross country, etc., and they're having minimal hiccups. So whatever the hiccups they're having are going to get worked out, and those systems are going to, eventually it's going to happen. Then what happens? What happens to the truck driver? So, you know, if you're 50 years old and you're a truck driver and now they tell you, well, you know what, we don't need truck drivers anymore, what happens then? Then it becomes, what does that truck driver do? Because the only jobs that are going to be available at some point are going to be in technology. Period. Technology, they'll be, you know, there will be teaching jobs, I assume, but those too will be teaching technology. And so outside of primary schools and stuff like that, university professors, most of them will become useless, unless they're teaching, technology. The companies will likely start to take over the education piece and start to train their own people because they're going to have no choice. We don't know exactly which way it's going to go, but it's going to get creepy for sure. And frankly, if you're paying $100,000 to put your kid in a university right now, you better think again, because if that kid doesn't have the right computer skills when he gets older, he's screwed. You're out $100,000 and he's screwed. And he can go teach gender studies someplace, when he gets older. But that's pretty much, that's pretty much where that goes. And then we got, have you heard Dr. Christina Collins, liberal as they come, on state school board, nominated by Democrats to run in HD 66? She must not get in. Yeah, I haven't heard of her, but I know there are hundreds of people like her around the country. And yeah, none of them should be getting it. None of them should be getting it. And frankly, I don't even want the states running education. Like, I don't even want that. I want localities. I want cities running education. That's who I want running education. That's how it should be done. Period. Let each city do its own thing. All right. The parents in that city will decide how they want their children educated. Look, parents understand what parents want, okay, is something that no education union, no state board, nobody wants. And they want the best for their children. Okay. For them, it's not just a talking point. For them, it's real. For them, when you watch that documentary, Waiting for Superman, I don't know if anyone got a chance to see it. You should check it out. It's a great watch. There was a charter school in Manhattan that was so successful. It's a public school, okay, but it was so successful that literally there was a lottery that had to be taken to determine who can go in. And when parents lost that lottery, they left in tears. They left in tears. Okay? So just put that in perspective, that parents were actually walking out of a building crying because their children had to go to the schools that their city provided. That's crazy. That should never, ever, ever be the case. But yet, there it was. There they were. There's an auditorium full of mothers, fathers, etc., praying that they can get their children into that charter school. And when they didn't get chosen, they broke down in tears. The school system there in New York is so bad that people were crying. Parents were crying because their children had to go to the schools that they were zoned for. And yet still, no effort to change has been made. All right. So in the end, understand these people don't care about your children. They don't care. They see them as state property. They don't care. They don't care if they get educated. They don't care if they don't get educated. They're going to push them through the system. All they care about is who they're going to vote for. That's it. And how they can manipulate them throughout the rest of their adult life. It's creepy as hell, but it's incredibly real. And in a case like this, thank you, Project Veritas, again, because you went in and you gave it to us right from the horse's mouth. Right from the horse's mouth. And again, when you saw the letter from Karen Diaz, their president of the Connecticut Education Association, it was clear in that letter that they were not upset by what the man said. They were upset with Project Veritas. Instead of writing a letter saying, thank you, Project Veritas, we had no idea this was going on. We're going to handle this. No, their reaction was cover it up. Everyone, they send a memo out, which God, I love whistleblowers, which the whistleblowers then sent to Project Veritas. And in the memo, it just straight up has this woman telling everybody, keep your mouth shut. Project Veritas is in the state. Be aware. It could be anyone. Don't let our secret out. It's just crazy. It's just madness. And there's just no way anybody should be tolerating any of that crap. Any of it. But I want everybody to take... I'm going to go ahead and... let me see if I can put this in the... For those that haven't seen the entire video, I want to... I'm going to give you the link. It's pretty self-explanatory. You could probably just type it in yourself. But Project Veritas doesn't really put its stuff on YouTube anymore. They only put like teasers and stuff on YouTube. So I just put their website on in the comments. I see that they've hit YouTube and they have hit Twitch. I don't know if Facebook is allowing me to add the comments, but they're on. For those of you watching on Twitch or YouTube, you will see the Project Veritas link there. You can also look them up in YouTube, and probably a good idea to subscribe to them there. When they come out with something egregious, if you're following me, you're probably going to hear about it. But like, it's good to just keep yourself in the know and get on there and support those guys. But their website is where their full episodes go. And if you haven't heard of Project Veritas, if you're in that camp, then you need to go there and start fishing around. Just watching some of those videos. These guys have been breaking stuff forever, and God bless them. That you want a Nobel Peace Prize. How about giving one to James O'Keefe? But then again, I don't know how peaceful what he's doing is, but it definitely is helpful, and it definitely is good, to hear, because you can't refute what Project Veritas puts out. You can't refute it. You just can't. What they put out is 100% bona fide true, and it is what it is. So Cody Raggle says, I never heard of Twitch. Yeah, so Twitch is kind of us swimming in enemy waters. So Twitch is there's a lot of gaming streams that go on there, but it's live only on Twitch. And the reason why we're on Twitch is twofold. One, it automatically integrates with the software that we stream with. So we could stream there just by me clicking a button. So I said, what the hell? Let's do it. Two, actually three reasons. Two, we do get some international folks that come on from Twitch. Mostly when we have international conversations. We got a lot during the Ukraine conversations while we were calling BS on the U.S. narrative there. And then the Western narrative in general, I guess, is the way to look at that. And then and other times. And then also with Twitch, we enjoy getting the occasional, if you will, lefty on. You know who we're talking about.
Baby, I'm a Biden boy. I'm a Biden boy.
Yeah, that guy. So, we like to get them on every once in a while just to keep it well-rounded. Let them get their shots in and take, try and comment. So that's what Twitch is. So again, I don't know much about it. My daughter mentioned, I asked her when I saw it, and that's what it is. It's just straight live, only live. Whenever you go on there, it's just people that are coming on live. So, but that's it. He said, "Yikes!" Yeah, I love that guy. He's my symbol. I keep him on file whenever I'm talking about Biden supporters and Marxists. I keep that guy on file just so I can break them out whenever I need to. But all right. So sounds like, look, I hope you guys found that informative. I want you to go ahead and check out the link. I put the Project Veritas link in there. If you have not yet signed up for Convention of States, I know many of you have, but for those of you who are watching and you have not, and if you have questions, reach out to us. Reach out to us in the comments. Reach out to us via email, info@thepatriotthinktank.com. Or go to our website, it's thepatriotthinktank.com/COS. And there's links there that you'll find. There's a quick PragerU explainer video on Article 5. There's a link to sign the petition in your state. And then we've broken down everything by state, where you can see and read the resolution for your state and see if they have one written, if they're engaged, they're not engaged, and then get an idea for where, whether or not how much work you got cut out for you at that point, and get involved. And also, I do want to mention we have been updating slowly our apparel store. So if you like any of the gear that you see me wearing on screen, for example, this one right here, once you see, you can't unsee. And then underneath are hashtags. You can't really read it. You can't really read the hashtags, but it is hashtag Marxism, hashtag BlackRock, hashtag Save Our Children, hashtag what is it? Disney, hashtag Great Reset. All the things that once you've opened your eyes, you can see in society are all listed underneath. And actually, the newer version of this shirt, I just ordered one for myself, has a distressed upside down flag underneath it, which is pretty clean. And if you don't know what the upside down flag is, does everybody know what that is? I know some people that were viewing already there's at least one person on who had already answered this question in a previous broadcast. But if you don't know, the upside down flag is a nation in distress. So you'll see us using it symbolically, and whatnot. We use it in our ticker. The flag, if you haven't noticed, is upside down there. Please excuse the spelling of the word indoctrination in that ticker. I'm going to delete that whole ticker from all videos just because that was horrific. I must have just scribbled my hands when I was typing, but it was like indoctrinating or something. I don't know. I was reading it while I was waiting for the intro to play, and it was kind of messed up. Cody says, by the way, I'm a biological female. Hey, Cody, you do you, huh? Who am I to judge? Yeah. No, but that's cool. Yes, Cody, you're right. It's distressed. So that is the upside down flag. So yeah, check it out. I mean, there's only a few selections on there now, but I am slowly working in with some people to get some new designs up and get some new catchphrases and stuff. But right now, there's what you see on my screen. We have that on a T-shirt, also with the distress flag underneath. The Play Offense Article 5 Convention of States. So check it out. You should find something there. I think that you'll like. But we're going to be adding hats, and we have some more colors now, so you can get different colors. Yeah, we're getting slowly but surely. I'm a one-man show, two-man show, so we're trying to bang this out. But until then, look, guys, thank you. Love you all. Appreciate everyone. By the way, everyone who's been joining recently, welcomed. I know we've gained a ton of followers on Facebook. I know YouTube is still rising exponentially, faster at a faster pace now than before, which I actually heard was a thing. Like once you start getting to certain levels, you start to see it picking up more if your content is good. So I'm hoping to take that that as our content is good. But Facebook has been really skyrocketed. I mean, we gained in the last 4 to 5 weeks, we must have gained 3,000 to 4,000 followers. We're at almost 5,500 now. We weren't really taking Facebook all that serious before, but now that we have, it seems like it's paying off and the message is getting out to that many more people. Make sure you leave a comment. Make sure you hit either the like or if you're angry, you can do the angry emoji, but definitely do those things because it helps Facebook to distribute the content. And it's hard enough for us to get Facebook to work with us on distributing the content that we have. They are not huge fans of Convention of States. Thank you, Sheila. Thank you. Appreciate you. And on that note, what am I 4 minutes away from the hour? So once again, folks, until next time, I heard that Veritas might be doing a second piece to this. So if they do, I will come back and we can do another little session on that. It'll be unannounced because these ones happen Wednesday night. We'll be on every Wednesday, 5:30, like clockwork. Hopefully we'll have somebody from Convention of States Action booked every week. If not, you can listen to me blabber on for a little while, which is fine. Certainly have that ability. But every now and then you're going to see me jump on like this without it being a recorded video and just come on and have the conversation. So be on the lookout. If you're on YouTube, click that bell so you catch us when we're on if you're available, and we'll see you then. I'm out.
And like that,